Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and right now I am joined by Danny Sabatello, who's getting ready to fight Leandro Higo in the next round, the Bellator Bantamweight World Grand Prix at Bellator 282. Danny, how's it going, man?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the time as always. First question for me. Obviously, with your recent success comes a lot more attention and a bigger audience and all that. Do you feel like you're starting to get the respect from more Bellator fans around the sport and kind of just in general, especially after your last win?
Yeah, absolutely. You see my followers up on social media going up, and you see Bellator posting me a lot. Along with that is a lot of these Bellator bantamweights are all mentioning me. I have every single guy in the division mentioning my name. So that's awesome. That's just how I roll. And obviously that's going to attract more eyeballs. And I could just feel this kind of like wave of the Sabatello wave coming through and people talking about me, people finally understanding how good I am, how electric I am inside the cage and outside the cage. That's always nice. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter if somebody watches me fight. If I have a zillion eyeballs, if I have zero eyeballs, it doesn't matter. I still got to go in there and beat the shit out of the guy. I do this because I fucking love fighting and that's it. I just love the fight. So, whether people think that I'm going to win or I'm going to lose, it doesn't fucking matter to me. If people recognize me and start to realize, holy shit, that I'm the best Bellator bantamweight, that's great. But if not, it doesn't really fucking matter. But I for sure see more people watching my stuff and we're picking it up and we're only going to get bigger from here. Bellator is only going to jump on the bandwagon more and post more about me.
I love it. And I remember the last time we talked was just right after your win over Joanna Lugo. Obviously, we talked about what's next in Leandro Higo. Obviously, it's coming up. Obviously, I know you guys have some bad blood between the two of you, but in terms of his skill set, what are your thoughts on his skill set and what he'll bring to this fight?
Yeah, he sucks. I think this will be a very good matchup for me. I think it's kind of picture perfect matchup for me when you have my background, which is heavily grappling, but also really good on the feet. And you got his background, which is just strictly jiu-jitsu. I don't think he submits his submissions very well. And, it's hard to submit somebody when you got them elbowing you in the face, slicing you open. So I think with this one specifically, it's going to be great because I'm better on the feet and better on the ground. So no matter where the fight goes, I'm not going to be in too much danger. In order for him to win, his path to victory is to submit me and catch me doing something stupid. But I'm just going to fight very smart and very aggressive. I'm going to push the tempo. This fight is 5 rounds. With this tournament, every fight is 5 rounds. So that works out really good for me. I have a very good gas tank. I think I have the best gas tank in MMA, actually. Yeah, I think it's a perfect matchup, compared to me. I think he sucks. He's obviously going to try a lot of good guillotines, but I'm going to be too smart. And once he realizes he can't submit me and can't get these submission attempts off my mistakes, he's going to break. My goal going in here is just to break him mentally. I can tell that he's a mentally weak guy. He misses weight all the fucking time, and that's just all about mentally tough. Nobody likes fucking cutting weight except me. I fucking enjoy it. But I'm a little bit different. But he doesn't really like cutting weight. He doesn't like doing any of that shit. He never fucking makes weight, so I could tell that he's mentally weak. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to break him, and that's going to be done. I'm going to break him, and it's also going to be a very fun fight. I think it's going to be an electric fight. I think fans want to see a really dominant fight, and that's what I'm going to give him. I'm going to beat the shit out of him for 4 rounds, and then I'm going to finish him in the 4th round.
Do you feel like you've gotten to his head at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you look at him, he doesn't really talk trash. I've watched before all his fights before this, and I realized that he doesn't ever talk trash. But now that I'm talking trash to him, he's switched up his ways and he's talking his trash. And that just shows to me that I'm getting in his head, and it's going to be unfamiliar territory for him. A lot of guys, they don't talk trash because they're not too confident in their ability. They're afraid of the repercussions. If I lose, everyone's going to say that I'm an idiot. Why was I talking trash? But now that he's talking trash, he's going to feel that heat. I think when he goes into that cage, his legs are going to be a little bit heavier. He's going to be feeling a little bit more pressure. This is foreign territory to him, but to me, this is what I do. All I do is talk trash. I talk trash to everybody. If I'm going up against you in fucking anything, it could be pinball, I'm going to talk trash. That's my comfort zone. And for him, I'm already in his head. I got him talking trash. I got him a totally different fighter than he already is. So I'm just going to keep exposing that. I'm really good at mental warfare. I take advantage of that. And I can tell with a guy like this, who's very weak mentally, it's only going to work out in my favor.
I gotcha, man. And obviously, I know you're not looking past this one, but the winner will face Raufeon Stots in the next round of the Grand Prix. Just kind of give me your thoughts on how you would match up with Raufeon Stots, and just kind of your thoughts on his last performance.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that fight will be the biggest fight in Bellator bantamweight history, just given how electric I am, my skill set. And also, it's going to be for the interim belt since he already has that. So it's just going to be a mega fight. It's going to be huge. And I just don't see how that guy can beat me. You know, of course, we got to take care of business June 24th at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut against Leandro Higo. But it's hard not to fucking think about Stotts because it's going to be such an exciting fight. And if that's a guy that has the interim belt, then it's just so exciting for me because I'll smash that guy. I'll kill him. I don't know how he could beat me. He's not really a finisher. Even in his last fight, he threw up a head kick. And Juan Archuleta was just a little too close, and it was actually the knee that caught him. So it wasn't even just this stellar head kick. He didn't set it up or anything. I actually had him down on the scorecards to Juan. So it's really exciting. I can't get too ahead of myself. I can't start thinking about that. Obviously, I got to beat the shit out of Higo. That's a guy I fucking hate, and I just want to torture him. But yeah, of course, I do have it a little bit in the back of my mind. I will fight Stotts before the end of the year. I will beat the shit out of him. I will get that interim belt, and we're going to keep it going. You know, that's also a guy that I just think in terms of a matchup, I just don't know what his game plan would be to me just because I'm superior everywhere. He's a southpaw, so he might think he's a little bit more tricky on the feet, but I actually am better against southpaws. So yeah, that's another very exciting fight. You know, again, it's a very exciting time for Danny Sabatello, just because we have so many good fights on the horizon and so many electric wars that are going to be coming up.
I love it, man. And obviously you mentioned earlier with this tournament format, the rest of the fights from here on out in the tournament are all 5 rounds or obviously less if it goes to that point. But do you feel like the format kind of plays in your favor? Because one thing that's really stood out to a lot of fans and pundits is the pace and the pressure that you put on your opponents. So do you feel like that kind of plays in your favor and is kind of an advantage?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's picture perfect being at 5 rounds. You know, actually, if it were up to me, I wish it was 10 rounds. But with this 5 rounds format, that's great for me because I'm always going to push the pressure. And I think I break guys. I think I not only have a lot of these fights won before stepping in there because I'm in their head, but after just a couple rounds of just high tempo, high volume, these guys fucking break and they see that I'm not even fucking tired. That just does something to your mentality. And especially when you got guys like Higo, who's actually mentally weak, it makes it even better. So yeah, not only that, but the way I fight, I don't really take too much damage. You know, I don't get hurt in there. I don't really bleed. I don't hurt my hands punching too hard or anything like that. So it's really good for me. I don't go in there with too big of injuries. Of course, no one enters a fight 100% healthy. You know, if you're doing that, then you're a pussy and you're not going hard enough at the gym. But the way I fight a high tempo. I break these guys and I got 25 minutes to do it, which is more than enough time. And then also I don't take too much damage because I don't get hit. You know, I'm beating the shit out of these guys. I'm slicing them with my fucking elbows so I can protect my hands. And I'm kicking them in the fucking head, kicking them in the fucking stomach, getting them tired. So the way I fight is very smart, very intelligent, very electric, very high pace. It's very clear cut for this tournament. And that's why I'm going to not only win this tournament, but I'm going to dominate it.
And obviously a lot going on at American Top Team right now. You got Johnny Eblen getting ready to fight Gegard Mousasi in the main event. How glorifying is that for you to get that co-main event slot and have Johnny in the main event and just kind of give us your thoughts on that matchup too?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, obviously American Top Team is the best gym in the world. So not only that, we've got, I think, a total of like 6 guys on this card in Connecticut, which is just nuts. And then also Johnny's one of my good friends. We came into ATT around the same time. He was there just maybe a year before me, but we wrestled together in college. He was at Missouri. I was at Purdue. So we always knew each other. And it's just funny because we still remember our first days in the gym, not really knowing jiu-jitsu or how to throw a fucking punch correctly or anything like that. Yeah. And then now you look at us and one of us is the main event. One of us is the co-main event. It's really just a movie type scenario. And it only makes me fucking more pumped up. You know, I thrive on loyalty and friendship and fucking all that shit like that. And we're very close. I think we're going to go in there. We're going to shock the world. I know I'm not an underdog. He's an underdog. I think he'll shock the world. With me, I think people are already kind of realizing that I should beat the shit out of Higo. I'm so much better. But either way, whether we're the favorite or the underdog, I think we're going to go in there and put on good fucking performances, both get our hand raised. You know, Mousasi is obviously an absolute stud. He's obviously a high caliber guy, and it's going to only be even a bigger win for Johnny if he beats him. And then I'm going to set the tone, getting that co-main event win, set it up for him. But yeah, I'm very pumped about the co-main event slot with Bellator, the biggest promotion. It's on Showtime, and it's just going to be fucking electric.
Absolutely. And Joanna Jedrzejczyk obviously announced her retirement after UFC 275 this past weekend. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on that and just kind of her legacy in the sport and just kind of get your thoughts.
Yeah, she's the best. She's actually my favorite female fighter of all time. And if you knew her, if you ever met her, or if you're in the gym at ATT, that girl always has a smile on her face. She's always laughing, and she's always so positive. Whether you're in the UFC, Bellator, PFL 1, or if you have no fights and you're just an amateur, she treats everybody the same. I think more girls need to mimic her. She's just phenomenal, and we're all going to miss her so much. Even in the gym, even at practices, just seeing her around, people get a little bit more of a positive attitude. People get more energetic once they see her in the room, just because she's pushing everybody and she's just so nice. So, whatever she does after this, I don't know, but she's going to be successful just because she's going to be successful in whatever she fucking does in life.
Absolutely. Love it. And looking ahead, obviously you've always been known as a solid grappler with your wrestling background and all that, but just kind of talk about the development of your striking. How big has it been training down there at ATT to develop that aspect of your game, especially moving on in the tournament?
Yeah, now that I've been in MMA for a few years now, I think it's like 4 years-ish, I'm confident that my striking is just as good as my grappling. But you know what? Obviously on the feet is a little bit more risky. If your hands are just below your face just for an inch or a centimeter, it could mean lights out, and that's the end of the fight. So sometimes it's just smarter to take the fight on the ground just because you limit the times of you getting hit in the head and the fight being over. The fact of the matter is anything can happen in a fight. This isn't football where if you miss your block, it's okay. They get an extra 10 yards, or in basketball, it's a slam dunk, 2 fucking points, big whoop. This is fighting where one little slip up and it can mean the result is different. So obviously you got to be smart, but I'm very confident in my stand up. I think I'm going to show that a lot this coming weekend, this next weekend against Higo. But yeah, I don't want to give away too much for what is part of the plan, but I am very confident in the feet. I think the good thing is also that I don't have many fights where I am on the feet too much, so people can't really gauge what I'm looking for and, how I'm going to be setting up my attacks. But I do have a few knockouts. I got a knee to the head knockout. I've kicked a guy in the head and knocked him out. So I do obviously have that power on the feet. And it's going to be on full display against Higo.
Last question for me, man. What can Bellator fans expect from you at Bellator 282?
Yeah, just an absolute electric performance. Obviously it's going to be exciting inside the cage, but I think even the build up outside the cage, they say once the cage door shut, the talk is over. But to me, the talk is never over. I'm going to be talking all up until the fight. And then I'm going to be talking in his ear during the fight, letting him know that he's my fucking bitch in that octagon for five fucking rounds, 25 minutes. So it's just really just going to be electric, and you're not going to want to miss it just because Sabatello fights are different than any other fights.
Absolutely. No doubt about that, man. Well, before we go, I'll give you the floor to shout out any sponsors you have. Shout out your team if you'd like. I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, just Leandro Higo's a bitch.
All right. Short and sweet. Danny, thanks again for the time. Really do appreciate it. All the best with the rest of camp, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much, man.
Yep. Thank you.